Good morning and happy Friday from Greenbelt Gardens. It's been a while since we've made a video to put out on Instagram, but today's that day. Let's see here. Everything's wet from the irrigation running this morning, which is good. Now that we're over our rain period, need to get back on schedule, put things back in perspective. We'll do this side first today. Yellow Marconis. This is the first batch that we've had of them, so hopefully they should start breaking yellows soon. See how well these taste if they're in comparison to their cousins over here, the red Marconis. A lot of the pepper plants are getting bigger, getting taller anyway. Plenty of flowers. Things are recovering well after the recent rain that we've had that's washed out things. Most of the plants during that time period, they just kind of went dormant, protecting themselves. They weren't producing, and the fruits that were on them were damaged from the rain because it's just too much water uptake. But everything's looking fairly nice. Our little baby boomers, they're on the way out. We have a whole new batch that are going to grow. Tiny Tims, baby boomers, orange hats, ruby reds. We're going to be growing those both inside and outside. So we're also going to be selling some of those plants. We started a whole new batch of seedlings. We'll go check them out in a little bit. Let me grab these while we're talking about them. But yeah, we'll be trying to growing some of the smaller dwarf determinants inside. See how well we can manage that instead of out here dealing with some of the pests that are now more present to this time of year. The stink bugs, the squash bugs, and they're everywhere. We've done a pretty good job of keeping them at bay. These are, I forget what my wife calls them now. They're the Mexican equivalent to sunflowers, but they bloom out in beautiful orange. She planted these probably just about a week or two before we left to Greece in May. And now they're 3 foot tall. So just like sunflowers, they grow pretty quick. Look at that basil, it looks so beautiful. We just sold a batch of basil to one of our customers in the neighborhood yesterday. They're gonna make a sauce. Look at the red Marconis here. Looking nice as well. Some are starting to break. And then we have purple basil. It also grows as a companion plant for them, or for many. And then our black-eyed peas, these are starting to turn purple. I think I'm going to pull these, at least one of these off today. We've never grown black-eyed peas before. This is our first time going at it, so we only have like maybe one or, we got a few plants. I think we got like 4 plants total. I need to look up to see exactly when the best time is to pull these. I think Jane had said that when they turn purple, that we can pull them and at least give it a shot to see what they look like inside. Lots of pods. This one actually grew fairly quick as well. We planted these just before we left out in May to go, maybe earlier in May. But they grew really well. They've done pretty darn good in the heat, and they managed all the rain that they had. They managed that really well. A lot better than their green beans that we have over here. These are very slow to be coming up, and they've got lots of flowers starting to appear on them. So it took them a while to recoup from the rain. They got hit pretty hard. We've also been dealing with, bits of, I guess that's rust, and managing their lives. And, most of our tomatoes, most of our indeterminates, most of our super saucers and Romas, they're slowly starting to recover. Like I said, the rain took its toll on them. We still get fruits that are cracked that were initially from that time period. But some of the other fruits that are now growing, this is the bush steak. And one of our best growers this season were the bush steaks, or have been the bush steaks. But they took a hit themselves, and so they're just now starting to come back along to produce. These are our banana peppers. Took off a huge batch of banana peppers. Those are currently available for sale as well. And then we also have some more pepper plants back here. These are our Chinese giant reds. Lots of Thai basil, my goodness. The basil and the and the marigolds have taken over this bed completely. There's tomato plants in here, but they've never produced very much. And I forget what the name of this is. My wife will kill me because she tells me every time I ask her, and I always forget. But nonetheless, it's doing really well in here as well. And then we have our California Wonders, our yellows and our reds. Yellows on this side, reds on this side. The reds do have quite a bit of peppers that are coming out and growing. Just waiting for them to start breaking so we can take them off. But they've also got lots of flowers ready to start producing for them as well. And then another faithful plant is our glacier globes. These guys have produced a lot for us, but I think they're running their course as well as far as just gaming and becoming at the end of their season. Same can be said for our 10 Fingers of Naples. Great plant, has produced a lot of tomatoes for us. We've eaten a lot of them. They're great for sauces. They're great for salads. Just as finger foods in general. But I think that it's starting to get to the end of its producing. We have a lot more flowers that are popping up, but they're not of the size as they were beginning in the season. So we'll continue to let them grow. We'll continue to let them produce and to see how long it'll continue to put things out. But the production has slowed down a lot. And again, the rain just took its toll on everyone. So it is what it is. Things are growing back. Now we just got to turn our focus back to the heat. We put our shade cloth back up in spots. These big indeterminates, my goodness. We're having to branch them along in several spots. I think next year we're going to try a different technique in getting these to curl over. We'll create, whether it's cattle panel or something, to create proper trellising for these guys. Some of these we've never grown before, so we were just uncertain to just how big they were going to get. A lot of seed packets, they just have general ideas of how big something should be based on just averages and everything else but every growing season is different. Every plant is different. Not everybody carries the exact same stuff that's written on a package for seeds. So let's go up front real quick and pause. All right, so now we're inside. These are all the guys we have available to sell. We got a bunch of banana peppers, some Marconi Reds, handful of the 10 Fingers, and some other, these were, I think some of them aromas that just did not get very big, but they're still very much edible. Some of the California Wonder Reds. We have some shishito peppers, and we also have cayenne peppers, and they're starting to turn red and yellow over here. But in our grow room, one of our seedling racks, got a whole new bunch of brand new seedlings popping out. These are the dwarf determinants. So we're going to grow them. Once they get big enough, they're going to migrate over to the racks over here. We got to clean all this stuff off and see about having them inside. And again, we can sell them by the plant, or we can sell them by the produce. We'll figure that out once we get them grown. And we have a bunch of other tomato plants, some Texas Stars. We're going to still try to do some of the Floridades and things like that to see if they do better in the later half of the year than what they've done in the first half of the year. More companion plants are in here. I think that's basil that's starting to populate. So we just planted these earlier in the week, and they've already started to sprout up. So should have a good starter crop to plant for the fall. And we'll see how long our summer lasts this year. And then my sister has grown us some lettuce, and so now we're taking over that. We have them here in the full spectrum grow lights. Take it up. And then our mangoes, I'm growing these from seed. A friend of ours that my wife works with, she has a family in Florida that grows mangoes, and so on a recent trip, she brought 2 of those mangoes back to us. And we have planted them just before we left to Greece, like the day before we left. So they were seeded in May 23rd, and this is where they're at now. it'll take a while before they're actually viable to do anything. I find it interesting. So this is one main stalk. Everything looks as it should. And this guy made 3. One seed has 3 stalks, 3 separate stalks. So not quite sure how that one's going to turn out once we actually put it in. Let's head to the front yard. Semi-house tour. We have our hot peppers up front. We got to keep them separate from the sweet peppers. That way they don't cross-pollinate. But this is the cayenne pepper plant. We got some cayennes that are still growing on it currently right now. Some of them may be harvestable. Like that guy right there. He may be harvestable. And there's another one that's turning yellow in here. Have to come get that one later. But we put them up here. That way they have a separate opportunity to get pollinated. We have our rose bushes up here that attract a lot of pollinators. And we're trying to get our basil plants up here. We've been pulling off basil from these guys to sell. They've been great providers for that. But eventually we're going to let them, like this has already started to go to seed. Not seed, I'm sorry. It's going to flowering that will create seeds. In this case, we have lots of bees that just love when our oregano flowers. Not oregano. I just woke up, so forgive me. Those are all basil plants. Oregano's right here. He's right there, but he's not anywhere near flowering. Although he's really big, I need to start trimming him back and harvesting some of the flower or the leaves from him for just our own purposes. Here is our serrano plant. This one is very temperamental. If it even remotely begins to get dry, the plant just gets really droopy, gets really unhappy. So we have to keep him watered pretty much daily. So we just got to keep an eye on them. Also, a good reason why they're up front and why the roses do such a good job is that the afternoon sun doesn't bother them. So the house does a good job blocking. So this whole face of the house faces west. So it gets faces east. So it gets the morning sun, and that's good enough for them. These are shishito peppers, by the way. And here's our poblanos. Our poblano peppers, just like the serranos, have taken a really long time to get started. But we do have our first poblano pepper starting to grow. He was about as big as the tip of my thumb, and now he's easily similar size as my thumb. So he's getting there. But yeah, they get the evening shade from the house, just like the rose bushes do, and the rose bushes have really been self-controlled. So we figure the same can happen for the pepper plants. They'll be protected from the hot, harsh evening sun. No need to put any shade cloth over them. They get everything else in the morning, and hopefully all the pollinators that get gathered up from the roses will help pollinate these guys as well. So, but that's it for today. I mean, happy Friday morning to everyone. I hope that you have a wonderful start to your day and a fantastic weekend. Other than that, we'll see y'all next time. Bye.